They buried this report in 1936. A government committee declared the results erratic and shut the work down, but the internal documents told a different story, real yield increases that were documented and then buried. By the end of this video, you will know how to grow using this technique and save money. Stay for that, because the number will make the fertilizer industry very uncomfortable. Here's what they never taught in any gardening school. The Earth is a battery. Above your head right now, the ionosphere carries a positive charge, and the Earth beneath carries a negative charge. Between them, there is a voltage gradient of 100 volts per meter of air above every garden on the planet, continuously and for free. Every thunderstorm ever witnessed is the Earth releasing built-up electrical charge. What researchers discovered in the 1920s is that plants respond to atmospheric electricity the same way they respond to an incoming storm. They go into overdrive. When a plant detects that electrical signature, metabolic genes activate. Nutrient absorption accelerates. Ion exchange speeds up across cell membranes. The plant shifts into maximum growth mode because a storm means water is coming and it needs to be ready. You can watch it happen. A garden before a thunderstorm sits still. The same garden 3 hours after that storm is visibly ahead of where it was. Electroculture is the practice of giving a plant that signal permanently, without the storm, without the rain, without any purchased input at all. In 1936, the same year the British Electro-Culture Committee shut down, something else was beginning its global rise. The synthetic fertilizer industry, born directly from World War II munitions technology, was starting its capture of agriculture. The Haber-Bosch process, originally developed to manufacture ammonia for bombs, had been repackaged as peacetime nitrogen fertilizer. The companies that owned that process faced a significant commercial problem. Before that moment, every farming tradition on Earth understood that fertility came from biological systems already operating underground. A farmer in 1930 composted. He planted legumes, he spread manure, he did not write a check. After that moment, fertility was meant to come from a bag, purchased annually from a company. How do you sell electricity to a gardener who can pull it from the sky with copper wire and a stick? You cannot. So the industry buried the question. Researchers who kept working on electroculture after 1936 watched their grant applications get rejected. Their papers were returned unpublished. The label fringe science was stamped on anything that threatened the fertilizer model. The attack on the mechanism was precise. Critics stood at podiums and argued the electrical fields were too weak to produce measurable effects. Peer reviewers circled that claim and approved it. The argument spread. It sounded like science. It was wrong. The effect is not about delivering energy to the plant. It is about delivering a signal. A single hormone molecule, one invisible drop in a liter of sap, can trigger a cascade that restructures the entire plant's growth pattern. Weak signals produce massive biological responses. That is how plant chemistry works. The critics knew this. They chose the wrong framing deliberately, and it held for 90 years. Copper is a paramagnetic conductor. When shaped into a spiral and oriented vertically in a garden, it functions as an antenna, capturing the directional flow of ions that move continuously between the ionosphere and Earth. Those ions channel down into the soil, into the electrical environment surrounding every root system. That root zone is already an electrical system. Roots communicate through bioelectric signals. They detect moisture through ion concentration gradients. Every nutrient uptake event in a plant root is, at its most fundamental level, an electrical event. Researcher Andrew Goldsworthy at Imperial College London documented that weak electromagnetic fields stimulate calcium ion channels in plant cells. Calcium is the master signal molecule for plant growth. It regulates cell division, triggers growth hormone production, and coordinates the plant's entire response to stress and opportunity. More calcium channel activity means more of every growth process running simultaneously. The copper wire is not feeding the plant. It is amplifying the electrical language the plant already speaks, a language that evolved over hundreds of millions of years in an atmosphere that has always been electrically charged. The geometry of the antenna matters. A straight rod collects atmospheric ions but does not organize their flow. A spiral creates a helical electromagnetic field, the same geometry found in DNA, in plant growth patterns, and in the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower. This geometric resonance is why spiral configurations consistently outperform straight rods in every documented electroculture trial. In the Northern Hemisphere, a clockwise orientation complements the dominant rotation of atmospheric currents. What the documented results show across multiple independent trials, across different crops, across different climates, follows a consistent pattern. In the first 2 weeks, nothing visible happens. The changes are occurring at the cellular level, in root architecture, in membrane permeability, in the ion channel activity. The antenna is amplifying. By weeks 3 and 4, the visible evidence begins to emerge. Stems thicken, leaf color deepens, node spacing tightens as the plant redirects energy from stretching toward productive growth. By weeks 6 through 8, the difference against untreated plants in identical conditions becomes measurable and clear in size, in branching density, and documented resistance to pest pressure. Over a full season, yield differences become dramatic. Trials have documented increases ranging from 30 to 200% depending on crop type, soil health, and antenna design. The critical variable is the soil itself. The antenna amplifies whatever biological activity is already present underground. A thriving soil food web becomes far more productive in the presence of an electro-culture installation. Depleted soil benefits less. The technique and strong soil biology are not alternatives. They are multipliers of each other. A garden running both produces no revenue for the agricultural input industry, no bags of fertilizer purchased, no bottles of pesticide on the shelf, no disease spray needed at the end of the season. The system sustains itself entirely. Walk into any garden center, count the products on those shelves. Every single one of them exists because someone, somewhere, disconnected a garden from the biology that would have made the product unnecessary. There is no business model for a garden that needs nothing, which explains the 1936 committee and everything that followed. The committee's word, erratic, was chosen with precision. It implies unreliability without demonstrating failure. It does not say the results were negative, it says they were inconsistent. But inconsistency is the defining characteristic of every biological intervention in agriculture. Fertilizer results vary by location, season, and soil condition. Nobody bans nitrogen for being erratic. The word was perfect bureaucratic language for burying something that worked without technically lying about it. And it did its job for 90 years. The atmosphere above your garden has not changed since 1936. The voltage gradient is still there. The ions are still moving. The plants are still waiting for the signal. The only thing that changed is that someone figured out how to sell you a substitute. Go put a copper wire in your soil today. The electricity is free. The results are real, and 90 years of industrial misdirection cannot change the physics. The basic spiral stake takes less than 10 minutes to set up. Use bare copper wire, 18 to 22 gauge, no coating and no insulation. Use a wooden or bamboo stake. The wire wraps clockwise, 10 to 15 rotations, covering the top 8 to 10 inches of the stake. Set the stake 12 inches deep at the base of the plant. The spiral sits above the soil, collecting atmospheric ions. The buried stake delivers them into the root zone. Use one per plant, nothing to maintain, nothing to replace. For a raised bed, a copper pyramid performs better with a base to height ratio of 1.57 to 1, built with bare copper wire over the growing area. That geometry focuses the field at the center base where the roots sit rather than dispersing it across open air. For the widest coverage, a bed grid uses bare copper wire laid across the soil surface or 2 inches below it, connected to upright antenna stakes at each corner and every 6 feet along the perimeter. The entire bed becomes a distributed antenna. The single non-negotiable rule is bare copper only. Do not use galvanized wire. Do not use coated wire. Do not use insulated electrical wire that still has plastic on it. Strip it or source bare hardware wire. Zinc-coated wire introduces the wrong electrical properties and builds soil toxicity over time. Run spiral stake antennas in half your tomato bed for a full season. The other half, same soil, same water, same variety, no antenna. By week 8, the antenna side was visibly ahead, stems thicker, more lateral branching, deeper color. At the end of the season, the antenna half produced 40% more tomatoes by weight. Nothing added, no fertilizer, no spray, one piece of copper wire per plant, and 90 years of physics doing the rest. Every video on this channel is a technique that costs nothing, works better than the product it replaces, and has been documented and then deliberately removed from mainstream agricultural guidance. This is not one isolated trick. It is a pattern, and the more of these videos you watch, the more obvious that pattern becomes. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. There is a lot more where this came from.